Hi everyone, this is David from Hotspawn. Today we're joined by FlyQuest top laner Bwipo after their series against CFO. First of all, I'm sorry that obviously the journey to Worlds ends here. I kind of wanted to ask you, what's on your mind right now?
I just feel sorry for the fans and my teammates because I threw the G2 series. I think I was in excellent positions to carry the game and I wasn't able to convert, especially game 3. Game 2 I also played pretty poorly, so my team didn't have much of a chance to even play the game there. So I just, it's hard not to focus on that and feel really bad because I definitely had the most agency in that game. I think game 1 today I also could have fully carried the game if I didn't make some key mistakes. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on. I think that there's not much else on my mind. Just that really sucks.
What was some of the things that you guys discussed after the G2 series? Because obviously, Inspired said on broadcast that you guys were kind of struggling with scrims as well, and then you have the whole gameplay looked a little bit more rushed, a little bit. You guys looked very impatient.
Yeah.
Can you walk me through a little bit about that?
I think somewhere along the line as a team, our culture changed into being less of a team and more about playing well individually. Not much direction, just spawn on the rift and play well. And rather than finding solutions to help each other, it was your individual responsibility to just play better.
In what aspects, specifically?
All-encompassing. If your laning phase was poor, it's your responsibility to fix it. If you played a team fight poorly or there was an angle that you missed, then it's your fault, and you need to fix that. Anything, everything. There just wasn't much that people could rely on as a set play or a certain amount of Basically, yeah, I think that was our biggest problem. Is no one had any team play to rely on. It was all just you play every situation individually well, and if you don't, then it's review. Talk about how every individual player can approach the fight better. Look what everyone can individually do better, but just zero team-oriented discussions about as a team what we want to do, how we want to do it, etc. So I think that was, in my opinion, our biggest problem.
Okay, I got it. I also kind of wanted to ask you about compare to yourself, and I wanted to ask you about CFO's top side, because obviously you played against both Driver and Rest today. I think this is your first time going against them.
Yeah, it is.
This year, despite both of you showing up on multiple international tournaments. What do you think about the top side duo that you faced today?
I think the Driver had a really unfortunate game. Their lane swap went poorly. They paused because I'm guessing they wanted to tower dive me top lane at before 4 minutes, but they couldn't. And then when the clock hit 4 minutes, I'm guessing he still got the notification that lane swap protection was on, but it wasn't a bug because if Xin Zhao took that tower shot with lane swap protection, he would have died. So I knew what was going on. They were very upset that they couldn't dive me, I think, because they knew the lane swap was really cooked in game 1 after that. So I was, I was pretty happy with how we played our lane swap, so that was really good. But hard to judge someone when you spawn in a full level down and down 20 CS. He walks in top lane, does the walk of shame back to lane to top lane after using his TP bot and losing so much. So I can't really judge Driver, unfortunately, off that game. I definitely didn't group as much as maybe I should have. I created some good opportunities, but I don't think it was his fault. And then Rest, it was very obvious they stylistically had a different team environment, a team approach. They, I move to the grubs and he stays bot, takes 2 tower plates, creates an advantage for himself and plays his own game on Rek'Sai. And I think stylistically it was nice to see. From the VODs that I watched, Driver was the guy that would move around and help his team secure objectives. So whenever they wanted to play a draft where they felt like they needed a little bit more help in the 4v4, they would play a Driver. And then if they felt like their 4v4 was in a good spot, they would play Rest, and he would try to accumulate resources and carry the game. So I think it makes it easier on the 2 individual top laners to play their own style, not have to worry about being able to be flexible and play both. But I do think in best of 5s it tends to be a bigger problem in Fearless for them, because as the champion pools gets pinched, it's harder to select a champion that will always accomplish that, right? But I think their draft strategy of giving away Silence so he can play the Rek'Sai and have that strategy for him was intelligent. So props to CFO, and I think that both their top laners are pretty good.
Were you happy about the drafts? Because we've seen, I think from my perspective was initially like it gave me the impression that BO3 and BO1s were a lot more focused about getting like good front lines and then having good back lines. It kind of seemed like that you still have tried to do that in the series, but also kind of shift towards more like kind of an aggressive with the like the Kiana, wanting to get the Lucianami in the bottom lane.
Yep.
Obviously, it was later countered by the Draven, but was it like something that you guys specifically prepared, or was it something that you guys decided to realize being in between the series? You know,
I had a lot of arguments about our champion picks and like the way we approached the game from draft in the first few weeks, like leading up from our boot camp all the way to week 1 of Worlds. I've said what I'm going to tell you right now. When you go to the World Championship, you play Worlds, you have a minimum of 4 games you get to play.
Yeah.
2 best of 1s, 1 best of 3. Minimum. So you get 4 games. If you win, you earn more games. And I told my team very simply, 4 games is not many. You need to, for your own self, as an individual, talk to your coaches and your teammates if you want to, ideally. And you need to pick champions that you feel like when you go home at the end of your event, whether it's 4 games, 6 games, 10 games, 12 games, you need to be at peace. Okay. Because you played the characters that you believe in, and you played the champions that you think are your best bet at winning. I didn't feel like some of the characters we selected, even though we ended up selecting them, in our run up until the boot camp, I did not feel like they were the right characters. But at the end of the day, if my teammates look me dead in the eye and tell me, no, I still want to play this, I believe in this, what kind of teammate would I be if I didn't let them? So I put all my faith in them, and I tried my very best. I think had I carried the game 3 against G2 like I was supposed to, they would have been able to go to quarters, and maybe we would have been able to have more time to adjust our pools. Maybe not. Maybe we go quarters and play the same characters and go home. I don't know. But at the end of the day, that's always going to be my advice for any teammates and any players. I think a lot of people don't think about that. Yeah, they don't think about the third-person point of view of like, it's a privilege to play at Worlds. And you really need to feel like the characters you lock in are like, this right here, this is what I came here to do, to play these champions.
I kind of wanted to ask you, like, obviously it doesn't feel good to be eliminated at this point in time. Obviously, because last year you actually were the ones who made it through, no? So, do you still think there was some like positive memories that you can take away from this World?
It was a very stressful one, as always. Worlds are super stressful. Yeah, hard for me because, like I said, I think I had the opportunity to make great memories and I kind of missed them. Obviously, like outside of the game, like hanging out with the team and going out for walks. There's a mall nearby our hotel, so for like lunch and dinner, we would go for a walk, get food, come back and get some ice cream. We did that very regularly, and it's those interpersonal moments where you're spending time not just with teammates, but the people that you work with as humans. You're not colleagues in those situations. Like you really are just friends. So I think that's the highlight for me at the end of the day. Obviously, I would have liked to say that our series against G2 and winning was the highlight, but I was the sole reason we lost those games. So that's the reality of being a competitor. You're going to have series where you look good, you play well. You're going to have series where you are the reason your team loses. I think it's a matter of time, and it sucks, but that's competition.
What goes into your mind, like when you feel like you feel the responsibility, and obviously you kind of also, I guess, I don't want to say it's guilt, but like obviously the pressure and all the weight across you, like how do you deal with it usually?
I think guilt is a big part of it, but
do you embrace it? Do you?
Oh, I embrace it. I've been playing for this is my 6th year, right? I think so. It's my 6th active year. I missed 1 year. I tell everyone this. I am a player that thrives in structure where I can create chaos. So when I know what's happening and I can close my eyes and I know what's happening on the map, I can get creative and do a lot of good things. When I don't know what's going on, I feel the need to create things because I don't
see the angles?
I force them because I don't see what's going to happen, and I feel the responsibility and burden to do that. That's a very bad thing, and that's my weakest part as a player. I definitely think being a veteran and having played for 6 years, this is not a trait I should still have. But at the same time, it's what makes me fearless. if I see an angle, I'll play it no matter what. I do think this is the main reason why I've not been able to, evolve past my best showings. Like I haven't been able to evolve past being a contender. And I think these last 2 years in NA, I think I was much better at it. Credit to the staff, credit to the players for giving me that comfort. But I think that when I actually felt the pressure, like against G2 and against T1, I think these two games or like series matches definitely showed me that I still have a long way to go. And got to work on that.
I mean, I also kind of wanted to touch on that because I know that your contract is expiring at the end of the season. Do you have already an idea of what you want to do next? What's next for you?
I've spent 4 years in America, 4 years in Europe. I'm open to either. Like for me, there's pros and cons to both. International success will always be at the forefront of my decision. I really believe, going internationally and making the fans proud is like it's a responsibility I took upon myself when I decided to join Fnatic in 2018, which was at the time the best team in Europe and the best team in the West. I've tried to live up to that standard for every single year that I've competed, and it's definitely made me. It's stressed the shit out of me,
Of course.
It's been tough, but it's also been really fun, It's so much more fun when when you make a good play, people are going to celebrate it, and when you make a bad play, people are going to laugh at you. That kind of pressure is something that I really love. I've definitely got a little bit of a narcissistic hero complex going on there, where it's like I want to be there. I want to be that guy. Like I fucking hate it when a different player gets to have that moment.
Yeah.
It's not a good thing, maybe, but I'd like to think I did a good job over the years. Overall, the collective years. Not this year. I think I can definitely do better this year. But one thing's for sure, I'd really like to play again, I missed 1 year in 2023, I think,
Yeah.
I'd like to play again. On another note, I think, honestly, I wouldn't have minded if Gagos got to play this series, started, because I really think he was ready. I watched him play a lot of solo queue, talked to him a lot, working with him back home,
How has it been, the relationship with you guys? Because obviously I know he's just been
Yeah,
joining you guys for quite some time already.
It's been really good, He put in a lot of effort, and it's funny because after the G2 series, he was sitting me down and telling me exactly what I was teaching him the whole summer split, Bro, you gotta just farm, make sure you don't make mistakes. You were in a really good spot. You gotta drive that home, and he's 100% right. And that's when I realized, the kid's ready, So I'm sad I couldn't give him an opportunity to play on the big stage and prove everyone that he was ready, because I have 100% faith that he is. So
last question before we run off the interview. We know that obviously there's always been the talk about the gap between the regions, especially the West and the East at Worlds. Considering that obviously G2 is making it through, the fact that you guys made it through last year, and also the general consensus seems like that the gap is shrinking. Do you agree with the statement? Do you think what's the one thing that the West is still lacking to get to where it wants?
Well, I think that the only gap that really shrank is the third and fourth seeds from LPL, LCK are beatable for Western teams.
Okay.
I'd have to watch, MKOI take down T1 or G2 take down T1 or Genji. I mean, they're the fourth seed, but an exception in T1 here, I'm sure you understand.
For example, even 100 Thieves yesterday
They
fighting out a bit closer, than we expected, and also BKS with
no, for
BLG
sure,
as well.
yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think that, to get into the technicalities, I believe teams that have feats of strength with a 2,000 or 3,000 gold lead have an insane win rate or something. That's what I heard anyway. They have a 90% win rate, 90% plus. So if you can find a way, anything lucky happens in your game, anything goes your way, you manage to get feats of strength because you won a grubs fight that snowballs into, something good. You get 3 kills. Suddenly, those kills translate into tower plates. You take first tower, you get feats of strength. You have a gold lead as well. Looks like it was a pretty big deal this Worlds, I think a lot of teams have really high emphasis on feats of strength because of this, because the boots upgrade are very powerful.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that it makes sense to me. that like the gap is a bit closed. I definitely think that like from a game balance perspective, there's a lot of those gameplay levers that make the game a lot more breathable, because I think that the gap was always the largest in mid-game and like mid to late game team fighting.
Yeah.
I feel like most teams that were able to compete did not crumble in the laning phase.
Okay.
Like if I think back to 2018, 2019, 2020, right, our best years from Europe's perspective at least. I think that the reason why people couldn't overcome the hurdle is because mostly honestly it's like the stress of playing at that level for that long. I think Asian professional players are acclimated to playing like the highest level of league the whole year through. I think a lot of Western players.
Do you think they should like get more accustomed to actually like dealing with that pressure?
It's just like I believe in the fighting game it's called mental stack. I don't know if you're familiar with the term.
Not really, but like
It basically means that as a match goes on, because there's so many options, right? So if I'm playing a fighting game, you can either block, I can attack you, or I can grab you, and you can either block or you can jump or you can whatever, right? The point is as a match goes on, the mind game you play stacks and stacks and stacks, and you play that mind game so many times out in a row, and like at some point there's like a lot of mental stack. Now, don't get me wrong, I might be explaining it wrong, but I believe the concept is correct, right? The point is that mental stack over months and months of playing at Worlds, right? You boot camp, you come here, that mental stack of like playing against players that just make better decisions on average every single game you play all the time, 24/7, especially in scrims, is a reason why, for example, against G2, like I was just mentally stacked. Like I needed to lose a game and lose that series to be able to come back to myself and like play a better game the next game, and that cost us my world, like cost FlyQuest their Worlds run, and I feel terrible about it. But the reality of the matter is that every single Worlds run I've played, I've had that game where I realized, like I didn't even realize how mentally stacked I was until I lost, and then I kind of could put the weight down, you know.
It always comes down at the last moment, no? I feel like it's...
Well, usually it was actually in week one, because like, for me, like if you think back to Fnatic week 1, Fnatic week 2, a lot of people have made memes about that back in the day, but it was true. I think that it was just the reality of it. You came into the boot camp, you're just so mentally stacked from like trying to catch up with scrims, and then when you actually got to play on stage and you saw the level that was being displayed, you're like, I can do this. Not to say that like people played bad, it's like they played well, but it's like, you know what, even though we lost, I feel like we can win anyway. And yeah, I guess the T1 game wasn't enough for me, so unfortunately after that loss I would have hoped I'd be able to lock in and make it happen against G2, but I needed that loss against G2 to lock back in for the CFO series, and I think I had a decent performance today. Nothing special, but
is there anything
wasn't enough.
Anything you want to share? Because like unfortunately we're running out of time. So.
Yeah, I usually talk a lot. Yeah.
I love people who talk, but like unfortunately this is like the.
Yeah, I mean I don't.
We have a limited amount of time, unfortunately.
You know, a special thank you to Wang Hao. He was a Chinese fan that added me on the solo queue server, super server, and he really encouraged me. I call him by name because he was a fan that told me he was orphaned and he really didn't have much going on in his life, but he told me that watching me play and watching me get excited and happy, you know, made him believe in people again. I don't know how true that is, but I took him for his word because I really felt like it came from the heart. So wherever you are, you know, I probably won't be able to talk to you again, but I just want you to know I tried extra hard because of you. All the fans at home that supported FlyQuest and wanted us to do great and play our best game, you know, I'm sorry I disappointed you. Take care, and you know, enjoy the rest of the year.
Thank you very much, Bwipo. I really appreciate for getting the time to talk with me.
Of course.
Unfortunately, this is the end. I wish you good luck for the rest.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll catch each other once, like again in the near future.